Stop working hard. Start thinking rich. You were never meant to live tired, not tired in your body, tired in your soul. That quiet exhaustion you feel when you wake up already counting hours. That heaviness when Sunday night arrives too fast. That silent fear that whispers, "Is this really all there is?" You've been told a lie so old, so deeply embedded that most people never question it. They told you, work harder, stay busy, trade your time, and one day, maybe, you'll be rewarded. But look around. The hardest workers you know, are they the richest or are they the most exhausted? This audiobook is not here to insult hard work. It's here to expose the truth. Because hard work without direction is not noble. It's a trap. Welcome to the Millionaire Brain Model. This is not about hustle culture. This is not about grinding until burnout. This is about how wealth is actually created. In the mind first, then in reality. Millionaires don't win because they work harder. They win because they think differently before they act differently. And thinking differently changes everything. The fatal equation that keeps people poor. Most people live by this formula. Effort times time equals money. If they want more money, they give more time. If they want more security, they cling tighter to their job. If they feel behind, they work longer hours. But time is finite. You only get 24 hours, same as everyone else. So what happens when your time is fully sold? You hit a ceiling, a hard, invisible ceiling. No matter how hard you work, you can't outwork the math. The wealthy use a different equation. Value times leverage equals income. They don't ask, how many hours will this take? They ask, how many people will this impact? They don't trade time. They build systems, assets, ideas, and ownership. And ownership changes the game. Why hard work feels safe, but isn't. Hard work feels honest. It feels responsible. It feels respectable. Thinking feels risky because thinking forces you to confront uncomfortable truths. That your effort may be misdirected, that loyalty doesn't guarantee wealth, that comfort today can steal freedom tomorrow. So most people avoid thinking deeply. They stay busy instead. Busy feels productive. Busy feels safe. Busy keeps you distracted from the bigger question. Is what I'm doing actually leading me where I want to go? The millionaire brain asks that question daily. The first mental shift from labor to leverage is the multiplier of life. Leverage is what allows one decision to pay you again and again. Leverage is what separates exhaustion from freedom. There are many forms of leverage: knowledge, capital, systems, technology, people. But they all start in the same place, the decision to stop selling yourself by the hour. This decision is not dramatic. It's quiet, internal. It's the moment you realize, if I keep doing what everyone else is doing, I'll get what everyone else gets. Average. Why this audiobook may make you uncomfortable. Because it challenges identity. You may have been praised for being the hardest worker, the most reliable, the one who never says no. But reliability does not create wealth. Replaceability does. And the moment you become irreplaceable through thinking, strategy, and value, your life changes. This audiobook will not tell you to quit your job tomorrow. It will tell you something more dangerous, to stop letting your job define your limits. The millionaire question. Here is the question that begins the shift. If my income stopped tomorrow, would anything I've built continue to pay me? If the answer is no, you are not broke, but you are vulnerable, and vulnerability is the enemy of freedom. The goal is not money. The goal is control. Control of your time, control of your energy, control of your future. And that begins not with effort, but with awareness. You are not behind. You are not lazy. You were simply taught the wrong rules. In the next chapter, we will break the most dangerous belief of all, that money is earned instead of designed. And once you see that distinction, you can never unsee it. Hang on a sec. Dear viewers, write in the comments what you'd like us to talk about in the next video. We promise to read all the comments and pick the best and most relevant topics. Thanks. Chapter 2. Money is not earned. It is designed. Most people believe money is something you earn. You show up, you work, you wait, you get paid. That belief sounds logical. It also keeps people trapped for decades. Because money is not a reward for effort. Money is a response to structure. If money were earned purely through hard work, the poorest people on earth would be the richest. Construction workers, farmers, nurses on double shifts, parents working 2 jobs. But that's not reality. Reality is uncomfortable. Money flows toward systems, not sweat. And once you understand that, you stop asking the wrong question. You stop asking, how hard do I have to work? You start asking, what am I building? The hidden difference between the rich and everyone else. The rich don't wake up more motivated than you. They don't have superhuman discipline. They don't work nonstop. They simply learned one rule early. Income follows structure, not struggle. That's why 2 people can work the same number of hours. And one builds wealth while the other stays stuck. One is laboring inside a system. The other is owning the system. Ownership is the dividing line. Why school never taught you. This school trained you to be efficient inside someone else's plan. Do the assignment, follow the rules, meet the deadline, get rewarded. But no one taught you how to design outcomes. No one taught you how money really moves. Through value chains, through leverage, through positioning, through long-term thinking. So when people leave school, they keep playing the same game, just with higher stakes. Grades become salaries. Teachers become bosses. Homework becomes overtime. Same structure, different label. The dangerous comfort of a paycheck. A paycheck feels safe. It arrives on schedule. It gives predictability. It reduces uncertainty. But here's the truth no one likes to admit. A paycheck is not security. It is dependency. If one source controls 100% of your income, you are not free. No matter how big the number is, the millionaire brain doesn't chase income. It builds resilience, multiple streams, assets that don't require presence, systems that continue when attention is elsewhere. Not overnight, not recklessly, but intentionally. Design thinking versus survival thinking. Survival thinking asks, how do I pay bills this month? How do I avoid risk? How do I stay comfortable? Design thinking asks, what does this lead to in 5 years? What happens if I stop showing up? Is this scalable without me? One mindset protects the present, the other builds the future. You cannot build wealth while thinking only in weeks and months. Wealth lives in years. Why most people never escape? Not because they're incapable, but because they are exhausted. When all your energy goes into survival, there's none left for strategy. That's why the system works so well. It keeps people busy enough to never redesign their lives. The millionaire brain creates space. Space to think, space to learn, space to experiment. That space is not laziness, it's preparation. The first step toward thinking rich? Here it is, simple, uncomfortable, powerful. Stop asking, what pays the most per hour? Start asking, what pays even when I'm not there? That question alone rewires priorities. Suddenly, skills matter more than tasks. Ownership matters more than titles. Learning matters more than comfort. You don't need a new job yet. You need a new lens. A quiet warning. If you keep optimizing effort instead of structure, you will stay tired even if you earn more. More income with the same thinking only upgrades the cage. Freedom comes from redesign. In the next chapter, we'll expose the most dangerous trap of modern life, the illusion of productivity. Why being busy is often the biggest enemy of becoming rich. Dear viewers, write which city you're from. It's interesting to see which corners of the world are watching our videos. Chapter 3. Busy is the new poor. There is a lie so deeply embedded in modern life that most people never question it. The lie sounds noble, it sounds responsible, it even sounds ambitious. The lie is this: if I stay busy, I'm moving forward. But busyness is not progress. In many cases, busyness is avoidance. Avoidance of thinking, avoidance of risk, avoidance of redesigning a life that no longer works. The productivity trap. Modern society worships productivity. Calendars packed back to back, notifications buzzing every minute, endless tasks, emails, meetings, obligations. And at the end of the day, exhaustion without ownership. You did a lot, but you didn't build anything. The millionaire brain understands something the worker brain does not. Movement is not momentum. You can run all day on a treadmill and still go nowhere. Why being busy feels safe? Busyness gives you an identity. I'm hardworking. I'm responsible. I'm doing my best. And maybe you are. But effort without direction is just motion. Busyness keeps you from asking dangerous questions like, why am I doing this? Where does this actually lead? Who benefits most from my time? Those questions are uncomfortable, so most people drown them out with activity. The difference between activity and leverage activity consumes time. Leverage multiplies results. The wealthy don't try to do more, they try to position better. They ask, can this scale? Can this repeat without me? Can this compound over time? If the answer is no, they hesitate, even if the work looks impressive. That's why some people look busy for 30 years and retire broke, while others look calm and quietly build empires. Why hard workers stay stuck. Hard work is not the enemy. Unfocused hard work is. When all your energy is spent maintaining the present, you never create the future. The system loves hard workers who never pause to think, because thinking changes everything. Thinking asks, what if there's a smarter path? What if I stop trading time for money? What if effort isn't the bottleneck, structure is? Those thoughts are dangerous to systems built on obedience. Stillness is a weapon. The millionaire brain schedules thinking time, not scrolling, not reacting, thinking, because clarity does not arrive in chaos. If you never step back, you can't see the pattern you're trapped in. Stillness creates awareness. Awareness creates choice. Choice creates power. A simple test. Ask yourself this, honestly. If I repeat my current week for the next 5 years, will my life change meaningfully? If the answer is no, busyness is not your solution. Design is. The shift that changes everything. Stop measuring your worth by how full your schedule is. Start measuring it by what remains when you stop working. That is the millionaire metric. In the next chapter, we will break one of the most toxic beliefs ever sold to society. More money fixes everything. It doesn't. And believing that might be the reason people never feel rich, no matter how much they earn. Chapter 4. Why more money doesn't make you rich. Most people believe the problem is income. If I just earned more, if I just got paid better, if I just reached that number, and yes, money matters. But here is the uncomfortable truth the millionaire brain understands early. Income does not create wealth. Behavior does. The illusion of the bigger paycheck. Every year, millions of people get raises, promotions, bonuses, and yet most of them feel just as stressed. Why? Because when income rises without a mindset shift, spending rises faster. A bigger house, a nicer car, more subscriptions, higher expectations. Money expands to fill the identity behind it. If your identity is spender, money disappears. If your identity is builder, money multiplies. Why high earners, go-broke doctors, athletes, entertainers. Some of the highest earners on the planet still end up financially trapped, not because they didn't make enough, but because they never learned how to think about money. They optimized earning, but never optimized ownership. They bought symbols of success instead of systems of freedom. The millionaire brain asks different questions. Not, how much do I make? But, how long does my money last? What does my money do while I sleep? Does this purchase create leverage or dependency? Wealth is not about lifestyle. It's about control. Control of time, control of decisions, control of risk. Money amplifies who you already are. Money doesn't change people. It reveals them. If you are anxious, money amplifies anxiety. If you are undisciplined, money magnifies chaos. If you are intentional, money accelerates progress. That's why chasing money before mastering your thinking is dangerous. You don't want more money. You want a mind capable of holding it. Why, comfort is the real enemy. Here's the silent killer of wealth. Comfort. Comfort makes you delay learning. Comfort makes you postpone change. Comfort convinces you that later is safer than now. The millionaire brain stays uncomfortable on purpose because growth never happens inside ease. The hidden formula, wealth is not income. Expenses equals leftover. Wealth is assets plus time plus discipline equals freedom. Without assets, income is fragile. Without discipline, assets disappear. Without time, none of it matters. A dangerous question. Ask yourself this. If my income doubled tomorrow, would my life actually change? Or would my habits simply scale? If it's the second one, you don't need more money. You need a new operating system. The transition that changes everything. The moment you stop chasing money and start building structures, you exit the race. Structures don't get tired. Structures don't complain. Structures don't need motivation. And in the next chapter, we will expose the most addictive trap of all, lifestyle inflation, the silent thief that steals futures quietly, one upgrade at a time. Dear viewer, the topic of this video was chosen by you, our viewers. In most of our videos, we remind you that you can write interesting topics you would like to hear about in the comments. We take the most interesting ones into consideration. Today's video topic was suggested by one of our viewers in the comments. Mikhailo, thank you for this theme. If you want us to cover a topic that interests you, write it in the comments. This will help us make videos on topics that are interesting to you, our viewers. Chapter 5. Lifestyle Inflation, the Quiet Thief of Freedom. No one warns you about it. There is no alarm, no announcement, no sudden collapse. Lifestyle inflation doesn't arrive violently. It arrives politely. It whispers, "You deserve this. You worked hard. Everyone else is doing it." And slowly, almost invisibly, it steals your future. How the trap begins. You earn a little more, so you upgrade. The apartment becomes bigger. The car becomes newer. The habits become heavier. Nothing looks reckless. Nothing feels irresponsible. And that's why it's dangerous, because comfort doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like progress. Why most people never escape. Here's the pattern that repeats for decades. Raise, upgrade, new baseline, stress returns. Raise, upgrade, new baseline, stress returns. The scenery changes, the pressure stays. This is not growth. This is motion without direction. You're running faster, but the cage is getting nicer. The millionaire brain resists upgrades, not because it hates pleasure, but because it understands timing. Early-stage wealth is fragile. Every upgrade adds weight before strength. The wealthy delay lifestyle rewards until assets can carry them. They don't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "Does this delay my freedom?" The psychology behind the spending. Most spending is emotional. You're not buying the thing. You're buying relief, validation, identity, escape. The millionaire brain separates emotions from transactions. It never spends to feel powerful. It spends to become free. The brutal truth. Every unnecessary upgrade today extends the number of years you must work tomorrow. Every dollar that feeds ego starves opportunity. And every time you choose comfort over control, you trade long-term freedom for short-term relief. The anti-inflation rule. Here is the rule few people follow, and almost everyone regrets ignoring. When income increases, keep lifestyle stable. Direct the difference into ownership, not forever, just long enough. This single discipline creates a gap, and in that gap, wealth is born. Why discipline beats motivation? Motivation fades. Discipline compounds. You won't always feel strong, but systems don't care how you feel. Automate saving, automate investing, automate restraint. Make the smart decision once, then remove willpower from the equation. A question that changes behavior. Before every purchase, ask, "Does this bring me closer to freedom or lock me deeper into maintenance?" The answer is usually obvious. We just avoid listening. What comes next? Lifestyle inflation keeps people trapped in visible success and invisible stress. But there is a deeper layer most never see. Time inflation. The belief that you can always fix things later. And in the next chapter, we'll dismantle the most dangerous lie of all. I'll start when I have more time. Chapter 6. The time lie that keeps you poor. I'll start when things slow down. That sentence has destroyed more futures than failure ever could, because time does not slow down. Responsibilities don't evaporate. Life doesn't pause and wait for permission. The belief that you'll fix everything later is the most elegant lie your mind tells you, and it sounds reasonable. Why? Later feels safe. Later has no consequences today. Later doesn't require discomfort. Later doesn't demand sacrifice. Later doesn't challenge identity. Later lets you feel responsible without acting. And the brain loves that, because the brain is designed to protect comfort, not build wealth. The real cost of waiting. Every year you delay investing, building skills, or creating systems, you don't just lose time, you lose compound leverage. Money compounds, skills compound, networks compound, reputation compounds, but only if you start. Waiting doesn't keep things neutral. It actively pushes the finish line further away. Why millionaires move early? Not because they know more, not because they're smarter, but because they understand one truth. The early years are the cheapest years. Mistakes cost less. Learning curves are shorter. Risk is survivable. Later, everything becomes expensive. The time trap of high earners. Ironically, the people who earn more often feel more trapped. More meetings, more expectations, more pressure. And they tell themselves, I'm busy now, but I'll plan later. Later becomes never. The millionaire brain flips this logic. It builds systems before income grows, so income never controls time. Action shrinks. Fear. Fear lives in imagination. The moment you act, even poorly, fear loses power. The first investment doesn't need to be perfect. The first system doesn't need to be scalable. The first move just needs to exist. Momentum beats confidence every time. The 15-minute rule. Here's a rule the wealthy live by. If something moves you closer to freedom, do 15 minutes today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, 15 minutes builds identity. Identity builds consistency. Consistency builds outcomes. Time is either owned or spent. Most people spend time like money they didn't earn. Millionaires treat time like capital. They protect it. They invest it. They demand returns from it. And they never assume they'll get more later. The brutal truth, you don't need more time. You need fewer distractions, clearer priorities, and the courage to begin imperfectly. Because the biggest difference between those who escape and those who don't is simple. One group waits for the right moment. The other group becomes the right moment. What comes next time traps you quietly. But there is something even more dangerous. A belief that sounds responsible, intelligent, even wise. I need more information before I act. And in the next chapter, we expose why overthinking is just fear wearing a suit. If you appreciate our efforts and our thoughts, subscribe and like this video. We need to show the world that there are many people like us. We must always continue to improve. Chapter 7. Why Overthinking is Just Fear in Disguise. You call it being careful. You call it doing research. You tell yourself you're just making sure you don't make a mistake. But let's be honest. Most overthinking isn't intelligence. It's hesitation, pretending to be wisdom. The illusion of preparation. The mind loves preparation because preparation feels productive without risk. You read another book, watch another video, ask another opinion, and every time you do, you feel like you're moving forward. But nothing actually changes. No systems are built. No capital is deployed. No skills are tested. Just more thinking. Why the brain loves overthinking. Overthinking keeps you safe from embarrassment, from loss, from looking inexperienced. It protects your self-image. But wealth doesn't reward protection. It rewards exposure. Every breakthrough requires friction. Every system requires trial. Every return requires risk. The wealthy don't wait for certainty. Here's a secret most people never hear. Certainty comes after action, not before. Millionaires act with incomplete information. They adjust in motion. They learn faster because they're already moving. The poor wait to feel ready. The rich become ready by doing. Information without execution is a trap. Information feels powerful, but information alone doesn't compound. Execution does. You don't get wealthy knowing how investing works. You get wealthy by investing, making mistakes, and refining. You don't escape the rat race by understanding systems. You escape by building one imperfectly. The fear beneath the thoughts. Strip away the logic. And here's what overthinking really says. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if this doesn't work? Those questions never disappear. The difference is that wealthy minds move with fear, while others wait for fear to leave. The 48-hour decision rule. Here's a rule many high performers use. If a decision won't ruin your life, make it within 48 hours. No endless loops, no infinite research, no paralysis. Decide, act, adjust. Momentum is more valuable than certainty. Why small losses save you from big ones. Early mistakes are cheap. Late mistakes are devastating. Overthinkers delay learning until the stakes are high. Action takers learn when the cost is low. That's why the wealthy seem calm under pressure. They've already failed enough to know what matters. The shift that changes everything. Stop asking, is this guaranteed? Start asking, will this teach me something? Learning is the only asset that compounds regardless of outcome. What comes next? But even action can fail if it's unfocused. Because the next trap is subtle and dangerous. Doing too many things at once. In the next chapter, we expose why scattered effort keeps people average and how the millionaire brain creates leverage through focus. Chapter 8. Why scattered effort keeps you. Poor busy feels productive. Your calendar is full, your days are long, your mind is constantly switching, and yet nothing truly changes. Income stays flat. Progress feels slow. Freedom feels distant. This is not because you're lazy. It's because your effort is scattered. Movement is not momentum. Most people confuse motion with progress. They juggle. Multiple side hustles. Too many goals. Endless ideas. Constant pivots. They touch everything. They master nothing. And because nothing is fully built, nothing compounds. The Millionaire Focus Principle. Wealthy minds understand one brutal truth. One system beats 10 attempts. Not forever, but for now. They choose one skill to monetize, one asset to build, one lever to pull repeatedly, and they ignore everything else. Focus is not about doing more, it's about doing less, longer. Why focus feels uncomfortable? Focus removes distractions, and distractions are emotional painkillers. When you focus on one thing, you can't hide behind busyness. You see your weaknesses clearly. Progress becomes measurable. That's why most people avoid it. Scattered effort protects the ego. Focus exposes reality. The law of compounding attention. What you give sustained attention to grows. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Systems compound. But only if attention is consistent. Switching resets the clock. Every time you jump to something new, you go back to zero. Why the rich say no. So often saying yes feels generous. Saying no feels selfish. But wealth requires boundaries. The wealthy say no to low-leverage tasks, distractions disguised as opportunities. Anything that pulls energy from their main system, they protect their attention like capital because it is capital. One question that changes direction. Ask yourself this. If this is the only thing I work on for the next 12 months, will my life be meaningfully different? If the answer is no, it's noise. The 90-day focus window. Here's a practical rule. Choose one priority for 90 days. No pivoting, no expanding, no adding, just execution. Most people never do this. That's why most people never experience real momentum. Focus creates confidence. Confidence doesn't come from thinking, it comes from finishing, from seeing proof that I can build, I can execute, I can follow through. Focus builds identity. Identity builds wealth. What comes next? But even focus isn't enough if you're trading time for money. In the next chapter, we'll break down the most dangerous lie of modern work and why the millionaire brain stops selling hours and starts building value. Chapter 9. Why selling time is the fastest way to stay broke. There is a lie so deeply embedded in modern society that most people never question it. It sounds responsible, it sounds noble, it sounds safe. The lie is this: if I just work harder, I'll earn more. That belief keeps millions trapped. Time is the worst product you can sell. Time has a ceiling. You only get 24 hours in a day, limited energy, a body that eventually slows down. No matter how skilled you are, time runs out. When you sell time, your income is capped by biology. Millionaires understand this early. The 1% refuse to trade hours for dollars forever. Why hourly thinking is dangerous. Hourly thinking trains your brain to ask, how many hours did this take? Am I being paid enough for my time? Is this worth my effort today? Millionaire thinking asks something different. Will this still pay me next year? Can this scale without me? Does this grow while I sleep? One mindset keeps you busy. The other builds freedom. The shift from labor to leverage wealth isn't built by effort alone. It's built by leverage. Leverage means your work affects many people. Your output multiplies without more input. One action produces ongoing results. Examples of leverage: systems, assets, ownership, automation, intellectual property. None of these require more hours. They require smarter structure. Why hard workers get exploited. Hard workers are reliable. They show up. They don't quit. And because of that, they're often used to fuel someone else's system. The system rewards owners, not workers, builders, not operators, thinkers, not just doers. Hard work without ownership enriches others. The millionaire question. Every wealthy person eventually asks, if I stop working today, does money still come in? If the answer is no, you don't have income, you have a job. Even if it pays well, how the brain resists this truth. Your brain prefers certainty. A paycheck feels safe, even if it's small, even if it keeps you stuck. Building leverage feels risky because results are delayed, because effort isn't instantly rewarded, but delayed rewards are exactly how wealth is built. Why rich people? Focus on value, not effort. Value is not measured in hours. It's measured in problem solved, demand created, impact delivered. One valuable idea can outperform 10,000 hours of labor. The millionaire brain doesn't ask, how hard was this? It asks, how useful is this? The transition phase, where most quit. There's a phase where you work hard, you earn little, you build something that hasn't paid yet. Most people quit here, not because they're incapable, but because they expect immediate results. Millionaires survive this phase because they understand what they're building. What comes next? Now that you understand why time-based income is a trap, the next chapter reveals how millionaires structure income and why systems, not hustle, create real freedom. This is where thinking rich becomes tangible. Dear viewers, please write in the comments what assets you buy or are interested in. Perhaps these are stocks or maybe cryptocurrency. It is interesting to see how you structure your investment portfolio. Also, please write what you think about real estate. Is it still relevant to buy flats today? Chapter 10. The System Always Wins, and Why Millionaires Build Them First. Every outcome in your life right now is produced by a system. not luck, not motivation, not talent alone. A system. Your income is a system. Your habits are a system. Your thinking patterns are a system. Even your struggles repeat because the system that creates them never changed. Most people don't lose because they are lazy. They lose because they are operating inside systems designed to keep them average. Why effort fails without structure, hard work without structure leaks energy. You can push, you can grind, you can exhaust yourself, but if the system underneath is broken, your effort only accelerates burnout. Millionaires understand something uncomfortable. Effort amplifies the system you're in. If the system is poor, effort makes you poorer faster. What a system really is. A system is simply a repeatable process that produces predictable results. With or without constant effort, jobs are systems. Businesses are systems. Investments are systems. Even bad habits are systems. The question is never, do I have a system? The question is my system working for me or against me? Why the poor focus on tasks, not systems? Most people focus on to-do lists, daily tasks, short-term outputs. They think, if I just do more, I'll earn more. But tasks end. Systems continue. A task feeds today. A system feeds decades. The millionaire perspective. Millionaires look at effort differently. They ask, can this be automated? Can this be repeated? Can this scale without me? They don't ask, how hard will this be every day? They ask, how hard do I need to work once to never do this again? Why schools never teach. This school trains obedience, not ownership. You're taught, follow instructions, complete assignments, exchange time for grades. This conditions your brain to value activity over leverage. That mindset works in classrooms. It fails in real life. The real world doesn't reward effort. It rewards structure, the invisible advantage of the rich. The wealthy don't wake up smarter. They wake up supported by systems that sell, systems that invest, systems that compound, systems that protect their time. When they work, they improve systems. They don't endlessly perform inside them. Why motivation is a trap. Motivation is emotional. Systems are mechanical. Motivation fades. Systems don't care how you feel. That's why relying on motivation keeps people stuck. When emotions dip, progress stops. Systems keep moving, even on bad days. How systems create freedom. Freedom isn't the absence of work. Freedom is work that compounds, effort that multiplies, decisions that reduce future effort. Every system you build is a future problem removed. The first system you must build, before money systems, before business systems, before investment systems, you must build a thinking system. Because if your thinking remains small, you will sabotage every structure you touch. That's why the next chapter dives into the most dangerous system of all, your beliefs about money. They shape everything. Chapter 11, the money belief system that controls your ceiling. Before money ever shows up in your bank account, it shows up in your beliefs, quietly, subtly, repeatedly. Your financial life is not a reflection of your effort. It is a reflection of what you believe is possible, allowed, and safe for you. And this is where most people lose, without even realizing it. The invisible script running your life. Every person carries a money script. It sounds like, people like me don't get rich. Money changes people. I'll never be good with money. I'm just not built for wealth. You didn't choose these thoughts. They were installed by family, by school, by society, by watching who struggled and who didn't. And once installed, they quietly limit your actions. Why logic can't fix a belief problem? You can read books, you can watch videos, you can learn strategies. But if your beliefs say, "This isn't for me," you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself. You'll procrastinate. You'll undercharge. You'll quit early. You'll avoid opportunities that stretch you, not because you're weak, but because your belief system is protecting what feels familiar, even if familiar is poor. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Your brain's primary job is survival, not success. And survival loves predictability. That's why people stay in jobs they hate. That's why they avoid risk. That's why they shrink goals that scare them. Not because they lack ambition, but because ambition threatens identity. The rich believe different things. The wealthy don't believe money is rare. They believe value is unlimited. They don't believe success is luck. They believe it's structured. They don't believe failure defines them. They believe it educates them. Most importantly, they believe wealth is something you build, not something you deserve. Why poverty thinking is addictive. Poverty thinking offers comfort. It says, it's not your fault. The system is rigged. People like us don't win. And while parts of that may be true, staying there removes responsibility. Responsibility is scary because responsibility means change is required. The hard truth about money beliefs: you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your beliefs. If you believe wealth is dangerous, you'll push it away. If you believe money causes stress, you'll avoid growth. If you believe rich people are greedy, you'll subconsciously reject becoming one. Rewriting the system. Beliefs change through repetition and evidence, not motivation, not hope, not wishing. You must challenge old narratives, replace them with better questions, create small wins that prove new beliefs true. Your mind needs proof. And proof comes from action, the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, "Can I do this?" Start asking, "How would someone who believes they can do this behave?" Then act accordingly. Identity follows behavior. Beliefs follow evidence. Why this chapter matters. Until your money beliefs change, every system you build will collapse. Because systems don't fail. People abandon them, and abandonment always starts in the mind. In the next chapter, we expose the most dangerous habit keeping people broke: trading time for money without leverage. Friend, write your opinion on this topic in the comments. Do you agree with us or not? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Chapter 12. Why trading time for money keeps you trapped. There is a silent agreement most people accept without ever questioning it. I give you my time, you give me money. It sounds fair, it sounds logical, it sounds safe. And it is the single greatest trap ever normalized in modern society. The illusion of hard work. From childhood, you were taught a simple formula: work harder, earn more. But if that were true, construction workers would be billionaires. Nurses would own private islands. Factory workers would retire at 40. Hard work alone has never created wealth. It creates survival. It creates exhaustion. It creates dependency. Time is the worst asset to sell. Time is finite. You only have 24 hours a day, limited energy, a body that ages when you sell time for money. Your income has a ceiling. No matter how skilled you are, no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how loyal you are, once the hours are gone, the income stops. That's not freedom. That's a beautifully decorated cage. Why the system rewards time, not value time-based pay, is easy to measure. Value-based pay requires thinking, and systems don't like thinkers. They like predictability, so they teach, clock in, clock out, repeat. And if you follow the rules long enough, you'll be secure. But secure is not free. Secure is controlled. The real difference between rich and poor. The poor ask, "How much do I get paid per hour?" The rich ask, "How many people can this help without me being present?" One sells hours, the other builds leverage. Leverage is what separates effort from reward. What leverage actually is, leverage means your effort continues working after you stop. One action produces multiple outcomes. Systems replace constant effort. Leverage comes from skills, media, capital, teams, technology, not from grinding longer. Why people fear. Leverage, because leverage requires delayed gratification, learning new skills, being bad before being good, uncertainty. And uncertainty terrifies people conditioned for safety, so they stay where effort equals paycheck, even if it slowly drains their soul. The comfort trap. A paycheck feels safe, even when it's barely enough, even when it limits your life, even when it consumes your best years. Because it's predictable. But predictability is expensive. You pay with freedom. The dangerous myth of stability. There is no stability in selling time. You can be fired, replaced, outsourced, automated. Real stability comes from owning skills, owning systems, owning assets, not from permission to work. The transition. Nobody talks about. You don't quit trading time overnight. You gradually reduce dependency on it. You learn a high-value skill. Build something on the side. Reinforce income streams. Shift identity from worker to builder. This transition is uncomfortable. That's why most people never make it. The question that changes everything. Stop asking, "How many hours will this take?" Start asking, "If this worked once, how many times can it work again?" That question is the beginning of wealth. Why this chapter matters. Until you stop tying your worth to hours, you will always feel behind. In the next chapter, we expose the mindset shift that turns effort into assets. Thinking in systems, not tasks. Please like and subscribe if you want a better future for your children, your family, and yourself. It's very difficult to achieve success today, but I'm sure you'll succeed. All you have to do is learn and discover new things. Chapter 13, Systems Beat Effort, How Wealth Actually Compounds. There is a moment in every successful person's journey when something clicks. They stop asking, "What do I need to do today?" and start asking, "What system can I build once that pays me repeatedly?" That moment separates workers from owners. Why effort burns out. But system-scale effort depends on mood. Effort depends on energy. Effort depends on motivation. Systems don't. A system works when you're tired. A system works when you're distracted. A system works when you sleep. Effort asks you to show up every day. Systems show up for you. The hidden reason. Most people stay busy, but broke busyness feels productive. Systems feel slow. And humans are wired to chase what feels productive now, not what pays off later. So people fill their days with tasks, emails, meetings, checklists, but none of it compounds. Movement is not progress. Repetition is not leverage. The rich don't work harder. They design better. A billionaire does not wake up asking, "What can I grind today?" They ask, "What structure am I strengthening?" They think in processes, pipelines, feedback loops, automation, while others think in to-do lists, deadlines, shifts, hours. What a system actually is. A system is any repeatable process that produces a predictable result. Examples: a content engine that attracts clients, an investment strategy that compounds, a sales funnel that runs without you, a routine that upgrades your skills daily. If it requires constant attention, it's not a system. It's a job. Why schools never teach. This systems empower independence. Independence reduces control, so instead, people are trained to follow instructions, complete assignments, wait for approval that creates excellent employees, not owners. The painful phase. Nobody warns you about building systems feels inefficient at first. You will think, this is taking longer than just doing it myself. That's normal. Systems demand upfront thinking to eliminate future effort. Most people quit right before the leverage kicks in. The 3 core systems of the wealthy. Every financially free person eventually builds 1. A skill system. Continuous learning that increases earning power. 2. An income system. Money generation not tied to hours. 3. A decision system. Rules that remove emotional choices. Miss 1, and everything feels harder. Why systems create calm. When income is predictable, anxiety fades. When routines are automated, willpower is preserved. When decisions are pre-made, focus sharpens. Wealth is not loud, it's calm. From hustle to architecture, hustle builds momentum. Architecture builds empires. Hustle says, I'll push harder. Architecture says, I'll design smarter. One exhausts, the other compounds. The question that shifts you: forever ask yourself, if I disappeared for 30 days, what would still work? If the answer is nothing, you don't own a system yet. And that's okay. Awareness is the first upgrade. What comes next? In the next chapter, we break down the most dangerous mindset trap of all: why comfort is the enemy of financial freedom, and how to escape it. Chapter 14. Comfort is the silent killer of wealth. Nothing destroys potential faster than comfort. Not failure, not lack of talent, not even fear. Comfort. Comfort is subtle. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It tells you, you're doing fine. You can start tomorrow. You deserve rest. This is good enough. And slowly, quietly, it keeps you exactly where you are. Why comfort feels safe, and why it's dangerous. Comfort feels like stability, but stability without growth is decay. Your mind adapts fast. What once felt exciting becomes normal. What once felt ambitious becomes exhausting. So you settle, not because you want less, but because growth demands discomfort. The comfort trap. Nobody talks about. Most people don't fail financially. They stall. They reach a level where bills are paid, stress is manageable, life is predictable, and they stop pushing. Not because they're lazy, but because discomfort has been removed. The brain's preference for familiar pain. Here's the truth. Your brain prefers familiar struggle over unfamiliar growth. A job you hate but understand feels safer than a future you haven't built yet. Your nervous system knows routine pain. It doesn't know opportunity. So, it resists change. Why the wealthy stay uncomfortable on purpose? The wealthy engineer discomfort. They learn new skills when they don't have to. Enter rooms where they are the least experienced. Invest when certainty is impossible. Question systems that are already working. They choose growth, stress over stagnation, peace. The cost of staying comfortable. Comfort costs you time, skill growth, opportunity recognition, financial upside. But the bill arrives later, years later, when regret is heavier than effort ever was. The difference between rest and comfort. Rest restores. Comfort dulls. Rest prepares you to grow again. Comfort convinces you not to. The wealthy rest strategically. They do not live in rest. The discomfort rule of the 1%. If it doesn't challenge your identity, it won't change your income. If it doesn't stretch your thinking, it won't expand your results. Growth always feels awkward at first. That's how you know it's working. Why hard is often the wrong word. The goal is not to work harder. The goal is to work differently. Comfort keeps you repeating the same actions. Discomfort forces new strategies. That's where leverage is born. A simple daily check-in. Ask yourself each night, what did I do today that made me uncomfortable but better? If the answer is nothing, you're coasting. And coasting always leads downhill. The courage to outgrow yourself. To get richer, you must outgrow your current identity. The version of you that built this life cannot build the next one. That's not an insult. It's a requirement. What comes next? In the next chapter, we expose a hidden truth. Why thinking bigger doesn't start with money. It starts with identity. Chapter 15. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your identity. Most people believe income is about effort. Some believe it's about luck. Others think it's about intelligence. But the truth is more uncomfortable. You will never consistently earn more than the level of person you believe yourself to be. Your income does not follow your goals. It follows your identity. Why goals fail but identities? Goals are external. Identities are internal. You can set a goal to earn more money, but if you still see yourself as not good with money, not the business type, just an employee, someone who plays it safe, your behavior will sabotage the goal automatically, not consciously, automatically, because the mind always defends identity. The invisible ceiling inside your mind. Everyone has a financial thermostat. When income rises above your identity level, your behavior changes. You procrastinate, you avoid responsibility, you overspend, you lose focus, and eventually income drops back to where your identity feels normal. This is why sudden money disappears for most people, not because they're irresponsible, but because their identity never upgraded. Why millionaires think differently before they earn differently. Before wealth appears externally, it forms internally. Millionaires don't wait for money to act confident. They act confident, then money follows. They don't wait to feel worthy. They decide worthiness first. They don't ask, can I do this? They ask, who must I become to handle this? Identity is built through repetition, not affirmation. You don't become wealthy by saying, I am rich. You become wealthy by acting like the kind of person who creates value. Identity is trained through decisions, standards, boundaries, daily actions. Every small choice votes for the person you are becoming. The question that changes everything. Stop asking, how do I make more money? Start asking, what would a wealthy version of me do next? That question bypasses fear. It bypasses excuses. It forces alignment. Why most advice doesn't work? Most advice focuses on tactics, but tactics fail when identity resists them. You can learn investing strategies. But if you identify as someone who avoids risk, you won't act. You can learn business skills. But if you identify as someone who waits for permission, you won't move. Identity always wins. Upgrading identity feels like losing yourself. This is why growth feels uncomfortable. To become someone new, you must let go of someone familiar. Old habits, old beliefs, old comfort zones, old social circles. Not everyone can come with you, and that's okay. The wealth identity shift. Wealthy identity sounds like this. I am responsible for outcomes. I solve problems instead of complaining. I think long term. I invest before I consume. I build systems, not just income. This is not arrogance, it's ownership. Your environment reinforces identity. Your environment constantly tells you who you are. If everyone around you complains about money, fears risk, avoids growth, mocks ambition, your identity will stay small. Wealthy people curate environments intentionally, not to feel superior, but to stay aligned. Identity precedes evidence. You will not see proof first. You become first. This is the hardest truth to accept and the most powerful. Because once identity shifts, behavior follows. And once behavior follows, results become inevitable. What comes next? In the next chapter, we reveal a dangerous illusion, why being busy is one of the fastest ways to stay poor, and how the wealthy avoid it completely. Chapter 16. Busy is a trap. Why movement without direction keeps you poor. If hard work made people rich, the busiest people would be the wealthiest. They aren't. They're exhausted, overworked, and still stuck. Being busy feels productive, but busy is often the most expensive illusion of all. The addiction to activity. Most people confuse motion with progress. They answer emails all day, attend meetings that change nothing, handle tasks that don't matter, fill calendars to feel important, and at night they say, I worked so hard today. But hard work without leverage creates exhaustion, not wealth. Why the system rewards busyness. The world trains you to stay busy because busy people don't think. They don't question systems. They don't challenge rules. They don't build alternatives. They follow schedules. They meet deadlines. They trade hours. Busy people are predictable. Predictable people are controllable. The wealthy measure time differently. Poor and middle class thinking asks, how much time will this take? Wealth thinking asks, how much value does this create? Wealthy people don't optimize hours. They optimize outcomes. They don't ask, what can I do today? They ask, what one action makes everything else easier or unnecessary? Why being busy feels safe. Busyness protects you from fear. If you're busy, you don't have to risk. You don't have to be judged. You don't have to fail publicly. You can hide behind effort. I tried. I worked hard. I stayed late. But wealth requires exposure, decisions, ownership. Busyness delays responsibility. The lie of hustle culture. Hustle culture glorifies exhaustion. But exhaustion is not a strategy. It's a warning. The most dangerous belief is, if I just work harder, it will work out. No. If you work harder on the wrong things, you dig the hole deeper. High value versus low value. Work, low value work. Keeps you occupied. Reacts to others. Maintains systems. Produces small linear results. High value work. Creates assets. Builds leverage. Compounds over time. Produces exponential results. The tragedy? High value work often feels uncomfortable and slow at first, so people avoid it. Why wealth requires boredom. Wealthy thinking includes space. Space to think. Space to reflect. Space to design systems. Most breakthroughs don't happen while rushing. They happen in silence. Busyness kills insight. The question that breaks the trap. Ask yourself daily, if I could only do one thing today that moves my life forward long term, what would it be? Then do only that before anything else touches your time. That habit alone separates creators from workers. Busy people rent time. Wealthy people own systems, employees rent time. Entrepreneurs build systems, investors own outcomes. Systems work while you rest, while you sleep, while you think. Busyness ends when the clock ends. Systems don't. Why slowing down makes you richer? Slowing down allows better decisions, fewer mistakes, clearer strategy, stronger execution. Speed without clarity creates chaos. Clarity creates speed. The real productivity shift. Stop asking, how can I do more? Start asking, how can I remove what doesn't matter? Wealth grows by subtraction, not addition. What comes next? In the next chapter, we expose another illusion. Why saving money alone will never make you wealthy, and what actually does. Dear viewer, please write in the comments what interested you most in the video. This will help us improve our videos. Chapter 17, Why Saving Money Alone Will Never Make You Wealthy. Saving money feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels safe. But safety has never built wealth. Saving is not bad. It's just incomplete. And when people confuse saving with a wealth strategy, they trap themselves quietly for decades. The illusion of security. Saving money gives you a sense of control. You watch numbers grow slowly, you feel disciplined, you feel protected, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Saving protects you from emergencies. It does not protect you from mediocrity. Savings are defensive. Wealth is offensive. Why savers stay stuck. When you save, your money sits still. Inflation eats it. Time erodes it. Opportunity passes it by. While you're protecting money, someone else is deploying it. Money that doesn't move loses power. The real purpose of saving. Saving is not the goal. Saving is preparation. It's a temporary holding phase, not the final destination. Wealthy people save for one reason, to invest with intention. Poor thinking says, I save to feel safe. Wealth thinking says, I save to buy leverage. The cost of playing defense forever. When all your energy goes into protection, you stop creating. You avoid risk, you avoid learning, you avoid growth, and slowly your world shrinks. The greatest risk is not losing money. It's never using it to build anything. Why rich people don't worship cash is lazy money. It doesn't grow. It doesn't multiply. It doesn't think. Wealthy people respect cash, but they don't idolize it. They see cash as fuel, not a trophy. The wealth equation. Most people miss saving alone is linear. Investing is exponential. Linear growth depends on effort. Exponential growth depends on systems. And systems don't care how hard you work. They care how smart you design. Why fear disguises itself as discipline. Many people say, I'm just being responsible. But underneath that responsibility is fear. Fear of losing. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of making the wrong move. Fear keeps money frozen. Wealth requires courage, not recklessness, but calculated action. The difference between being careful and being paralyzed. Careful people evaluate risk. Paralyzed people avoid it. Careful people learn. Paralyzed people wait. Waiting feels smart, but time does not pause for comfort. What wealthy people actually save for, they save to. Acquire assets, invest in skills, buy time, build systems, create leverage. They don't save to sit still. They save to move strategically. The moment money becomes powerful. Money becomes powerful the moment it works without your presence, when it earns while you sleep, when it grows without your supervision, when it multiplies through systems. Saving keeps money alive. Investing gives it purpose. Why small investments beat large savings? You don't need massive capital. You need correct direction. A small amount invested wisely beats a large amount stored passively. Direction beats volume. Always. The wealth transition point. There comes a moment when you must decide, will you continue protecting money, or will you start deploying it? That decision separates savers from builders. What comes next? In the final chapter, we bring everything together, the complete millionaire brain model and how to live it daily, quietly, and permanently. Chapter 18, Final. The Millionaire Brain Model, How to Think Once and Win for Life. This is where it all comes together. Not another tactic, not another trick, not another shortcut. This is the operating system. Because wealth is not something you chase. It's something you become aligned with. The final truth about money is not impressed by effort. It responds to structure. It does not reward struggle. It rewards clarity. It does not care how hard your past was. It only reacts to how well your present is designed. And that is the heart of the Millionaire Brain Model. The model in one sentence. Think in systems. Act with patience. Move money toward value. Repeat quietly. That's it. No noise, no hype, no desperation. Just alignment. The 4 layers of the millionaire brain. 1. Identity. First, you do not try to be wealthy. You operate as someone who builds wealth. You ask different questions. You tolerate different delays. You walk away from different temptations. Your decisions change because your identity changes. 2. Time awareness. Poor thinking asks, how fast can I make money? Wealth thinking asks, how long can I let this compound? Time is not the enemy. Impatience is. 3. Value creation. Money flows to usefulness, always. The millionaire brain focuses on skills that scale, systems that serve, solutions people pay for repeatedly, not appearances, not status, not consumption. 4. Emotional control. The richest people are not the smartest. They are the calmest. They don't panic in downturns. They don't rush in excitement. They don't need validation. They move slowly, precisely, relentlessly. Why this model works forever? Because it doesn't depend on trends, platforms, economies, luck. It works in every decade, every market, every country. Because it's based on behavior, not conditions. The silent advantage. While others talk, compare, complain, react. You will build, refine, compound. Wait. Silence becomes leverage. The final shift. At some point, you stop asking, how do I get rich? And you start asking, how do I design a life where wealth is inevitable? That is the shift. Your wealth promise. If you stop trading time for validation, stop chasing fast money, stop copying noise, stop underestimating consistency, and instead think long-term, build systems, invest patiently, act calmly, wealth becomes unavoidable, not overnight, but permanently. One last question. Will you return to the noise, or will you quietly apply what you now understand? Because the world does not reward awareness, it rewards application. If this audiobook changed how you think, even slightly, share it with someone who's ready to stop working hard and start thinking rich. And tell us, what topic should the next audiobook explore? Your journey doesn't end here. It begins now.